Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi says that Democrats have a plan to counter President Trump's aggressive political agenda, as her party has been zeroing in on Elon Musk, holding rallies at the very agencies that he has been working to purge. Now, almost 3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, the former House Speaker says change is coming.
We're very proud of Hakeem Jeffries, our leader. He has given us guidance on our priorities, what we're here to fight for, but also how we counter the Trump administration with litigation in the courts, legislation on the floor of the House, as well as communication and mobilization at the grassroots level. In about 6 or 7 months, you're going to see such a change. By the time we start our campaigns in this fall, for next fall, you're going to see a very different picture about the Democrats vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Not everyone believes that the current Democratic leadership can deliver on that. My source tonight is calling for a new generation of leaders and is also seeking to unseat Pelosi in a 2026 primary. Shoykat Chakrabarti joins me now, who is the former chief of staff and campaign manager for Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And it's great to have you here. First off, that timeline that she offered there stood out to me. What were your thoughts on that?
I don't understand why it's going to take 6 to 7 months. I mean, we had 4 years of a Trump presidency already back in 2016. We had 4 more years since then to prepare. I'm not sure why the Democratic leadership wasn't already prepared.
And also, 2 months since he won the election, I think some people may look at this and say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's been, I honestly think the Democratic leaders right now are not sure what to do, and I don't think they can do it. Look, in this past election, I think there's this critical mass of voters in America who said they want big sweeping change. You saw that in 2008 with Obama's election, happened in 2016, happened in 2024 again with Trump. And the American people are right to demand change, right? They want radical change because they want their kids' lives to be better than theirs. They don't want to get bankrupted by a health bill. The American dream, which used to be you can buy a house, have a good education, raise a family, that's becoming impossible for a big majority of people. And people want a credible plan to fix that. And they're not seeing it from Washington. And so, after the election, I thought the Democrats would have kind of a come to Jesus moment. They'd regroup and realize they need to have a big vision for real change for people. But then I heard Nancy Pelosi on an interview with the New York Times say that actually Democrats don't need to change, that everything's fine. And I just can't trust that same leadership is now going to be able to suddenly deliver change. I think the Democratic Party needs a whole revolution. And I'm not saying a revolution from the center or the left or the right, none of that. I think there needs to be a completely new group of leaders, a new generation of leaders who are committed to rebuilding this country's institutions, its cities, and its industries. And that's going to be especially important after Trump is done making a mess of it all. And I just don't think the current leadership is going to be capable of delivering that message to America.
And so what does that look like right now, in your view?
So, well, I think the Democrats need to go on the offense for once. They're playing this game where they're, again, letting Trump control everything. They're letting Trump control the media. And I know it's hard. Trump comes out, he decides to buy Greenland one day and take over the Panama Canal the next day. But the Democrats need to take a lesson from the way the Republicans do it. When the Republicans turned Hunter Biden's laptop into a story, a complete non-issue into a real story, they made Hillary Clinton's emails into a story. They unified the caucus. They all talked about it. They harped on it, and they went on the offense for months. And the Democrats, they need to do that. They need to unify. They're going after a million different messages right now. And the second part is, after the Kamala Harris election loss, there's all this talk about should she have gone on Joe Rogan or not. And, I don't know if she should have, but I do know no one's going on there right now. There's no Democrats going on all the YouTube and social media shows right now. There's no one going on Fox News. They have to get out of their bubble. I mean, I don't think you can imagine Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer going on Joe Rogan, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, well, and, we saw one Democrat today criticizing Trump in the prayer breakfast, even though, of course, we've seen President Biden and President Obama attend it in the past. But I want to talk about you because you have said that you want to run a very different kind of campaign against Pelosi, who has filed the paperwork. She hasn't said that she is going to run again. But as you know, I mean, she's a powerhouse in your party. So how would you plan to defeat her in a Democratic primary? Or
Look, I'm not going to play the usual Democratic political games. I'm not going to be calling donors all day for money. I'm not going to be running around for endorsements because, yeah, she's the most well-connected Democrat in America. I'm going to go straight to voters. I'm asking people to go to my website and sign up for a Zoom call with me. All the Zoom calls I noticed were already filled up today, so I just opened up new slots. And I'm going to go around the gatekeepers straight to the voters. That's exactly what this plan was with AOC's race when she went up against Joe Crowley. And Joe Crowley was a very powerful Democrat. People said the same thing. He was going to ignore her, and there'd be no way to defeat him. But it turns out that's just not the way, the traditional political gatekeepers don't have as much power as they once did. It's possible to reach voters directly now and to just do democracy the way democracy is meant to be done.
we will be watching it closely. Shwekat Chakrabarti, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you very much.